Hello, and welcome to a homespun house. Do you guys see my super pretty new artwork? Elodie made this top one, and Ruby made this bottom one. And I think it just looks so sweet. I think it just looks so sweet in this little corner over here. Love it. At nighttime, the light here just lights this corner up. So pretty. Welcome to a homespun house. I'm Molly, and I think I need to open the window. It is a little bit warm in here. I think it's probably because I'm wearing this ridiculous fleece right now. But when I'm down in the basement packaging orders, it's a little bit colder down there. And this very attractive fleece is very necessary. Now I'm in the winter garden, which is one of my favorite rooms in the house. And Oli is asleep next to me. Oli is our grandma Sue's kitty cat who has been staying with us for a little while. She comes over quite often, so it's really nice for him to be here when she comes and not be alone for the lengthy time that she is away from her home. So he's really been enjoying all of the space that we've had here and just being around people a lot more. He's gained a new energy. He's really, really great. So he loves to sit on my lap, on my knees while I sit and knit. He might even just try and inch his way on my lap while I'm knitting, like on my knitting. If I'm knitting something big, like my Marley Shawl, which I finished, I would have to pick it up. He would sit on it. Anyway, Oli is super cute. He is 8 or 9 years old, I'm not sure. So he's basically a middle-aged man. I'm knitting on mostly new things since you last saw me. I don't know if I showed you my finished dark crystal socks, but anyway, they're finished. They are in my creative space in the front. I'm not going to go grab them. Sorry. I'm pretty sure I shared them with you. I just don't want to be repetitive. I also finished something that I don't think I ever showed. This is knit out of, I think it's the Unicorn colorway by Yarn Cafe Creations. It's absolutely beautiful and bright, and this is Elodie's hat. She's really enjoyed wearing it. It is knit out of Yarn Cafe Creations 100% superwash merino yarn on her DK base, and it just has a beautiful feel to it. It's really plump. It's just really nice and soft. I really, really enjoyed knitting out of this, and Elodie loved the color of this hat. While I knit this, I used Tristan Molina's Chalgo needles, and I haven't given those back to her. So Tristan, I need to mail you your needles that you so kindly gifted me as, by gifted I mean borrow, for this hat. So that's finished. I really loved knitting on it. I have some extra yarn from this, and I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Fingerless mittens maybe for Elodie, or even a pair of leg warmers. Little kids just look so sweet in leg warmers. And then I finished my Marley Shawl. This has not been blocked. I have no plans on blocking it right now. So I knit this out of this main colorway that you see here is Unicorn Dust. And then at the bottom here we have Disco Taco. Unicorn Dust will be a color that stays in the shop. Disco Taco will be a springtime color, as will Unicorn Dust probably. Weasley's Wizard Wheezes will not be staying in the shop anymore. So this colorway will be gone. Anyway, it's a very, very big shawl. I made it larger than it is supposed to be. And I love it. I've pretty much given it to Adodie. She wears it over her shoulders all the time. When she's walking around the house, if she goes over to the neighbors, she has it over her shoulders there. It's a nice little blanket because it's so huge. She wraps it around her neck. But it's a big shawl. I mean, even for me, this is a big shawl. I used 300 grams of fingering weight yarn for this shawl. And I think it's a wonderful size. I really, really love it. I'm so happy that I decided to make it larger than the pattern called for. That was definitely a good idea. So let me just put this on. I knit this out of singles. And all of these colors are available in the shop right now. I also wanted to mention that even though I'm retiring all of the Homespun House colorways, well, most of them, 90% of them, I would say, will be retired. If there is a colorway that you want at any point in a year, you can always send me an email, even in a month, and I will dye up any of the colorways that I've dyed up in the past, even if they're retired. It's not like I am not open to dyeing those colorways again. That's definitely not it. It's just not something that I want to offer in the shop anymore. So the next thing that I've been working on, as soon as I cast off my dark crystal socks, I cast on another one of a kind colorway. This is from our little box of Hygge. This was a Hygge box that we did in December. January's Hygge box was Winter Wonderland box of Hygge, and now we have our Cozy Comfort box of Hygge. I want to know how you all enjoyed your Winter Wonderland box of Hygge, because I felt like that was a really, really generous, wonderful box. And the Cozy Comfort box of Hygge will not disappoint, so I'm excited about that. Anyway, so this is from our little box of Hygge. This is our Hygge or Gemütlich colorway, and I'm knitting these for Robert out of our soft sock base. I'm using a very, very sweet pumpkin juice Progress Keeper here. And yeah, I used this colorway, which I still have yet to dye for the shop, as a tonal. Love it so much. And then I used our Dewdrop tonal. I'll be using that for the toe. I haven't decided how long I'm going to knit the leg at this point. I'm not sure. But I think I'm pretty close to the time for the decreases of, I think I'm pretty close to needing to knit the heel on this one. So I'm enjoying it. I have cast on another pair of socks though. I have this in an oval market basket. I love these. I tend to use these for my socks. I have some woolly hair on me. So I have another pair of socks that I'm knitting right now. I have these in another oval market basket. And I am knitting this out of Scandinavia and Fresh Sheets in our soft sock base again. And I have cast on my pattern, which is the Dale socks, or Dale, D-A-L-E socks. And I have decided that there needs to be 4 different sizes to this sock. The stitch counts for this sock on the size of needle for this sock are very, very small. And I think that it's just not a very inclusive sock at all. So anyway, I'm adding 2 more sizes to it. I am knitting the 3rd size and I'm really enjoying it. So I'm knitting these on 2.5 millimeter needles, which I believe is a 1.5 US. And I was watching Hygge's podcast, and I decided, she's designing a pair of colorwork socks. Well, she did in December. And she is using 9-inch circulars. And when I lived in Germany, I tried so hard to knit on 9-inch circulars, and I did not enjoy them at all. At They were so slow. Anyway, I ordered some. I thought to myself, I am going to try and knit these on 9-inch circulars because she just raved on and on about how wonderful they were for color work knitting in particular. And I know that. I mean, it just makes sense. If you're doing a sock in color work, DPNs are probably one of the worst things you could be using. Magic loop, not much better, but a 9-inch circular where you are literally going around and around. I thought I'm going to try it. So I can remember when I tried the 9-inch circulars the first time with the sock, the ribbing was unmanageable. That was just so difficult to me. So I cast on my ribbing, I knitted on my DPNs, and then I did my first 3 rows of stockinette in the color work chart that I'm knitting these in. So I will be knitting these in a new chart that I'm adding to the Dotted Socks, which is a tree chart, which I recently added to my Susie Dale socks. And anyway, I bought Chagu needles. I bought these in the 9-inch circular. I don't often knit on Chagu needles, but the ones that I borrowed from Tristan were pretty nice. I still like Hygge's better, but I think for a 9-inch, the Hygge sharps are probably way too sharp. I think I'll be stabbing my fingers all the time. So I just opened these right before I turned the camera on, and I'm honestly in shock. I know I said I've used them before, but I am in shock of how small they are. I grip my whole needle with my whole hand, and there is no way I can grip this needle with my hands. And I remember that was the problem. My hands really started to hurt here. Oh, and I don't know if I'm prepared. I don't know if I am prepared to put myself through that. It just seems like so much time wasted, but it seems like everybody who really pushes themselves through it ends up loving them. How many inches do I need to knit before I am okay with it? I don't know. I'm going to try it once I turn this off. Maybe. Because I do have a project that is giving my knitting major life right now. I knit a Pinguino by Stephen West. I don't remember. I tried to remember in the last episode. I know. I think it was 3 or 4 years ago. I'm pretty sure it was 3. And I loved it. I really enjoyed knitting it. I knitted on rosewood needles in a 5.5 millimeter needle, and I combined 2 fingering weights along with a strand of mohair. So I'm doing the same yarn-wise, 2 fingering weights along with a strand of mohair. Here is my basket. I do not have these in the shop. I have a bunch that I need to photograph and add to the shop. I really, really love it. So it just showcases really beautifully all of my yarn. I have this kind of like on a side table in the living room for when I'm wanting to work on it and grab it, and I can really see all of my yarns. I did not pre-cake these beforehand because I am going to do that as I want to use them. So this is for 8OD. I'm knitting the Pinguino by Stephen West. And like I said, I'm doing 2 fingering weights, and I'm using our minty mohair as the mohair. 8OD chose this color. I gave her a choice between minty, fishbowl, and Scandinavia. So the blue that I showed you for my Dale socks that I'm working on. She chose minty, which kind of surprised me. I thought she was going to choose Scandinavia. All of them would have looked beautiful. So I am using our Equinox mini sets, which I just sold the last one yesterday. I'm so sorry that I'm sharing these with you now. And again, it's something that isn't in stock, but I'm going to be dyeing something similar to this a little bit later today. I'm using our Stellina yarn. So here are 8 of them. It was a total of 10. They're all really pretty. Adri's favorite colors are pink, purple, and blue. So I thought this was a perfect set. And here's a little cake of another one. And then I am using the pink fizzle mini set as well. So you can kind of see these. Maybe I can grab them a little bit better. Here. This was also a set of 10. And I think this color, there's so many fun colors in there. And I have been using, I've kind of been marling colors together. You can see right now I'm knitting these 2 together along with the minty colorway. And this is what I'm getting. So right now I'm knitting the back section. I used 2 colors, one that was a little bit more yellow here. And then I've added on another 20-gram mini for this back panel. I am knitting the 8 to 10-year-old size on 5mm rosewood needles. So half of a size smaller than the needle that I used when I knit my Pinguino. And I think the fabric is really beautiful. In the pattern, Stephen recommends a size 4 to 5mm needle, so I didn't want to try and do the 5.5. Even though I used the same amount of yarn for my other Pinguino, I didn't want it to be overly large, because while this is the back panel, it's superwash yarn. It will definitely stretch if I block it. I never blocked my Pinguino. I absolutely did not find that necessary. It's a heavy piece, and I really just liked how plush it was, which is, I think, how I'll feel about this. So anyway, this is the back panel. It still needs some welts and other panels added to it, but I think it's so pretty. And I put this really sweet Santa Lucia Progress Keeper on here. This is made by Lindsay of Simply Serving. And Lindsay and I are doing a Harry Potter yarn club for January, February, and March. And there are still, February's are completely open. And I think there are maybe 8 memberships left for January. So you can choose if you want to do a 3-month membership or a 1-month membership for that. But anyway, this is Adri's favorite charm of all of my charms. So I thought that it had to adorn her pretty little Pinguino. So I recommend knitting this. It's so much fun. I loved knitting the one that I'm knitting for myself. And I just cast this on yesterday. It's not even something that I've been working on all day. I worked yesterday. I played with my children. I did most of this in the evening. I cast on a bit in the afternoon, and then I did a lot of it in the evening while Robert was bringing them to bed, and then while we stayed awake and hung out together. So I'll probably finish this today. Not the Pinguino, just this back panel. And then I'll start the 2-side welts, which if I were to be knitting one for myself again, I would not knit the welts on it. I don't really enjoy that feature. I know it adds something different, but I would prefer mine without the welts. And I asked Adri, and she wants the welts in hers. So this is so much fun. I love moss stitch, seed stitch. There are so many different names for it, and so pretty. So pretty. So we have a lot of different mini sets in the shop. I'm adding some new ones. My sister Amy just wound up a bunch of different mini sets that will be going into the shop next week. And it's just so fun. There are so many different scrappy projects that you can do with it. I have ideas for a design that I will be designing with scrappy projects and yarns and things like that. So I'm really looking forward to that. We have snow outside right now, which is really exciting. I'm so happy to finally see it. The girls have been spending their days outside sledding until it is pretty much pitch black outside. But it's also been nice, like I said, to hibernate indoors, cozy up, do a bit of knitting, drink some coffee, tea, have a nice glass of wine in the evenings. I've been so inspired by knitting projects. I'm going to be choosing some yarn later to be knitting on an alpine shawl, which my sister is test knitting for me, and I have some people who are test knitting that too. I would love if anybody's interested to contact me via the contact page on our website if you guys want to test knit that. I hope that you all have a really great week ahead, and happy knitting and creating. Bye.